President Trump is making it clear that there's a new sheriff in town in the hours and days following the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife.
Maduro is currently being held in the U.S. and, according to Attorney General Pam Bondi, has been indicted on charges of narcoterrorism, conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess those destructive devices against the United States.
But with the longtime dictator removed from power, many are concerned about who will fill that power vacuum. Well, the president has an answer, and he knows many won't like it. Take a listen.
Who's in charge of Venezuela right now? Have you spoken to the newly sworn-in president there, Rodriguez? And what are your thoughts on the entire situation? We said the U.S. would run Venezuela.
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And don't ask me who's in charge, because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge. We're going to run everything. We're going to run it, fix it. We'll have elections at the right time. But the main thing you have to fix is a broken country.
Now, that unsurprisingly didn't go over well in Venezuela. The country's defense minister delivered a speech on Sunday rejecting the idea that his country would be, quote, run by the U.S. He said in that speech, quote, our sovereignty has been violated and breached, and called Maduro's capture a, quote, act of profound malice. He continues saying the Venezuelan military, quote, will guarantee the governability of the country and will continue to employ all its available capabilities for military defense, the maintenance of internal order, and the preservation of peace.
But some Republicans seem to be behind the president's plan to run the country. Senate Armed Services Committee member Tom Cotton was asked about it on CNN over the weekend, had this to say.
When the president said the United States is going to be running Venezuela, it means that the new leaders of Venezuela need to meet our demand. What we want is a future Venezuelan government that will be pro-American, that will contribute to stability, order, and prosperity, not only in Venezuela, but in our own backyard. That probably needs to include new elections that are legitimate, that are fair and free, that include leaders of the opposition who are currently in exile around the world.
Meantime, many on the left were outraged at the idea of another potential regime change, forever war. Iraq veteran and current Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego took to X to voice his disapproval, writing, quote, second unjustified war in my lifetime. This war is illegal. It's embarrassing that we went from the world cop to the world bully in less than 1 year. There's no reason for us to be at war with Venezuela. Several other Democratic members of Congress echoed Gallego, voicing their outrage that Congress was not consulted and questioning the legality of the action.
Vice President J.D. Vance issued a rebuttal to the swirling legal questions in a series of posts on X. He wrote, PSA for everyone saying this was illegal. Maduro had multiple indictments in the United States for narcoterrorism. You don't get to avoid justice for drug trafficking in the United States just because you happen to live in a palace in Caracas.
But Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thinks differently. It's not about the drugs, she said. If it was, Trump wouldn't have pardoned one of the largest narco traffickers in the world last month. It's about oil and regime change, and they need a trial now to pretend that it isn't, especially to distract from Epstein and skyrocketing healthcare costs. Epstein. It's going to keep coming up. Meantime, several Democratic senators have teamed up with Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul to sponsor a war powers resolution. That resolution would block the military from taking any further action in or against Venezuela unless explicitly authorized by Congress.
Right, and that I support. And I've said from the get-go, if we want to take out Maduro, all right, that should be brought before Congress, discussed and debated. Even under the current war powers resolution, what we operate under, Congress is supposed to be informed, and then I believe there's a 60-day time period where the president can operate before getting explicit authorization. So even under that, frame of reference, Congress should have been consulted, and they were not. The administration is saying they don't have to do any of that because it's not war. It's a law enforcement action against someone who has pending violations. I don't quite buy that justification, to be clear, so I would support the war powers resolution. However, the ouster of Maduro itself is something that I'm surprised to hear so many Democrats complaining about. Under Joe Biden, the U.S. recognized Maduro as an illegitimate leader of the country. Our European peer countries agree that Edmundo Gonzalez was the legitimate winner of the previous election and should become the president of the country, or they should have a new election. I agree with that. Again, I don't think It's the U.S.'s job to run this thing. So I'm troubled when I hear Trump say things like that. Also, it's a little bit of a, we can, yes, seizing their oil. We're not going to do that. We want them to trade with us, be a trading partner, be promoting prosperity, stability, all the things Tom Cotton said. We're not going to plunder from them. We want to have a good relationship with them.
And I think the biggest criticism coming from Democrats outside of the bounty, because yes, people all agree that Maduro was a terrible person, but how will we stop Venezuela from descending into chaos is the question. And President Trump does not seem to have an answer, and he can't make his actions make sense. I mean, Congress was reportedly notified as the incident was happening, as the action was taking place in Venezuela. And I understand that their argument is that we can't risk any lives by telling you it could get out, and then it, was too sensitive of a mission to share. But that's not how Congress wants to play this game. And President Trump has messed around and skipped over Congress multiple times.
Right.
He said, okay, we're not calling this counter narcotics anymore, where we would talk to Congress. We're calling this counterterrorism.
And then you got
and now we're back to narcotics.
Behind closed doors, or
Exactly.
brief the leader of the Republican in the Senate. Yeah.
And what stuck out to me is that Rubio described this arrest as, quote, two indicted fugitives of American justice, noting that drug trafficking was key in all of this. But as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez smartly pointed out, former Honduras President Juan Hernandez, he was pardoned by Trump for the almost same exact crime, right? Bringing cocaine into our country, illicit drug overuse in our country. Both Latin American men were in Manhattan jails for their corrupt nature and bringing detriment to their countries. And one of them was pardoned by our president within a few days ago. And one of them is now being jailed and touted as this big mission. So the president has to be consistent in his stance with these drug criminals, particularly when we're trying to bring people down for...
He doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but then how do you explain your leadership to the country then? You can't
I don't know why that pardon happened, and
one...
I'm not in favor of it, but this is a totally different situation that has to be worked out.
Yes, because the president of Honduras was described by Congress as one of the largest and most violent drug trafficking conspiracies in the world.
The former president of Honduras.
Yeah, the former president, either way. So we should take somebody when they're the former president then.
Yeah.
We're going to keep talking about this. Up next, President Trump was warned that he's warned Iran's authorities against killing peaceful protesters, saying Washington, quote, will come to their rescue. Don't go anywhere.